Welcome to A Matter of Perspective with Judge Derwin Webb. I am Derwin Webb, coming to you from the Fraser History Museum. You know, it's not every day that you have an opportunity to sit down and talk to a living legend, a person that you admire and a person that everyone in America admires also because of the work that he's done. It is my pleasure to bring on this show today Mr. Kenny Klein, the former Senior Associate Athletic Director for the University of Louisville. Brother Klein, how are you today?
I'm great, and it's an honor to be on with you, Your Honor.
Let me ask you this question. Has the word former sunk in yet?
Former, I'm shortly removed, so I'm still trying to finish up a few little projects here and there, and I know I'm still going to be around in some capacity with our men's program, but I do know that I'm giving up a lot and giving up a lot of responsibilities that I hope will be absorbed very well, but I feel very comfortable that I'm here to help if there's any need for any reason for me to pitch in at any point or help whoever my successor is or my staff or the entire athletic staff to be there. So yes, former, fully understand that I moved on in that regard, but probably that part hasn't necessarily sunk in as much, no.
Well, it was 39 years at one place. And I'm sure you had a lot of memories, a lot of things that you can think about. If you could sum it up in one word, what would your feeling be right now after leaving the university in that capacity for 39 years? One word.
Maybe proud. I guess your pride is not necessarily a virtue, but I am proud of what has transpired through the years and coming where we've come from as an athletic department. Not necessarily proud of myself, but proud of where we've come, as a university as well. So across the board, just to look back over those years when you say 39 years and where we were at that point to where we are now is pretty amazing, really.
Okay, well, let's go back for a second. We talk about the things that happened when you first got there. What made you get involved in athletics altogether?
In athletics, it was just a matter of I liked being around sports, but science was really my forte. I was starting out in pre-med in college, and while I was in college, just got involved helping the individual that was in a similar capacity as myself at Austin Peay, where I was, and enjoyed doing it. By the end of the year, I was doing a lot of the baseball stuff for Austin Peay and still going to pre-med and all that. The individual there and sports information director at Austin Peay left to go to Murray State. And he says, "You ought to go with me." I said, "Why should I do that? I got good academic scholarships and stuff here." And he says, "Oh, they got a great pre-med program at Murray." So I looked at that and I said, "Yeah, they really do." So I looked at it, and looked at how I could get some things paid for through academics and some other stuff. So it turned out to be a pretty good situation. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And once I got there, kind of figured out that I really enjoyed what I was doing as a student and probably became more of an apprentice than a college student. Mm-hmm. Even though Murray State's a great institution, I did. There were a lot of great classes there that really helped prepare me. But I just kind of went all in, and then from that point felt very prepared, to be able to do what I do at any level.
So you were at Murray State in that capacity for how long?
I went there for freshman year at Austin Peay, 3 more years at Murray State, graduated from there in '81. Actually started some graduate work, was going to look to get a graduate degree. During that time, I had a couple job, interviews. Got offered both of them, but was kind of waiting for another one. Morehead State became open. They were in the OVC at the time, which I felt very familiar with the school, a lot of the people there, the direction that I thought that they were going, and interviewed there and ended up getting the job there. And it really had a terrific year and a half. I mean, I was there a year and a half, but I felt like I really got a lot accomplished in that time. Mm-hmm. Felt like the people there were, I've got lifelong friends from there. it was a great start for me. And when you're a one-man show there, you're doing everything. I mean,
Right.
So it really prepared me again for moving forward.
Well, I also noticed that Morehead State said something recently about you retiring from the University of Louisville. So Morehead State still remembers you from your work there almost 40 years ago.
Yeah, and again, I've got so many good friends from there. I feel like I did a few things there that I think were good. Donnie Russell, the guy that ended up getting me here, was the radio announcer there and associate athletic director at Morehead, ended up coming to Louisville. Mm-hmm. Wayne Martin was the basketball coach there. We went to the NCAA tournament for like the first time in, 25, 30 years or something while I was there. Baseball team made it to the NCAA tournament. We were a couple games away from a regional, or from the College World Series back then. The regionals mm-hmm. were very different. Steve Hamilton was the coach there. Rest his soul, a great person. I got to room with him on the road, and he had pitched with the New York Yankees. Had all kinds of stories, and I just dearly loved the man. Steve Loney was a football coach. There was just so many people there that were just terrific people. Really enjoyed my time there, and again, I hope I left a little bit of a mark there.
So tell me, what attracted you to the University of Louisville?
I had been to a game in probably January or February of that year at Freedom Hall. I think Donnie and I had been in Louisville for some reason, and we called the guys up there and said, "Hey, any chance you got a place we could stick our heads in and sit and watch a little bit?" They had a couple seats open on press row, so we sat there and just loved the environment, loved the level of competition. Certainly, that was Scooter and Rodney years, Milton, Lancaster, those Charles Jones, those guys that you felt the atmosphere there in Freedom Hall, and and I think Donnie and I both looked at each other and said, "Man, wouldn't it be nice to be here sometime?" Mm-hmm. Just feeling that, and so Donnie ends up coming to Louisville, ends up getting here. They have an opening as an assistant, needing somebody to handle football. So they called me up. I came in, visited with them, and ended up getting a job here really to handle football. I was here for maybe a couple weeks, and Joe Yates, who was the sports information director at the time, ended up going to LSU. So they go through the process of deciding who they're going to hire, and end up hiring me. So it was myself, student assistant, and Kathy Tronzo, my assistant at the time, were handling everything back then for a long period. And then Nancy Worley, who is still on my staff now, joined us in Thanksgiving of that year.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question.
Sure.
For the longest time, University of Louisville was known as a basketball school. They had won one national championship before you got there. Sure. They won a national championship after you got there as well. So it was known for basketball. But then a guy named Hal Schnellenberger comes aboard. What was it like having Coach Schnellenberger come into the program to give a little more life to the football team at that time?
It was fun. It was interesting because he's very set in the ways that he would do things, and obviously we were coming off a couple of years where we hadn't been very good, and but he stayed true to the way he wanted to do things, and he did bring a lot of attention. He had just won a national championship at Miami, was in the USFL, so to get him back to his home city was huge, and it didn't necessarily put us on the map right away, even though we were getting there. People saw that, gosh, Howard Schnellenberger, things are going to get there, and it took some time. I mean, we had some very lean years early, and then obviously we get to the Liberty Bowl, we get to the Fiesta Bowl, all those things down the line were a product of all those years of just really working hard, staying true to the way he felt things would be. He was very, on drill, and have everything down to perfection to be able to, and then your game plan, you felt so good going in. Not that that's different than it is now, but he was he was known for the hard work
Right.
ethic,
Right.
and out on the field wore the suit on the sidelines, and I mean I think there were times he sweated so much he had to cut his tie off, where it was so we just couldn't get the tie off. So he was an interesting individual. Really liked him a lot. It was funny though, when he got here, he kind of brought other people in wanting to do certain things his way, which was fine. I mean, but to be able to be there and support him, and knowing what he put into our stadium now. I mean, we would not have had the stadium that we did if he hadn't have really pushed, or really the Kentucky rivalry with football, because he really pushed hard for that as well.
Kind of shamed him into playing us.
Yeah, and we said, and it helped us build the stadium too, because we said, okay, we'll play, but we'll play at your place until we get a new stadium, outside of playing at the fairgrounds. Even though we played a lot of great teams at the fairgrounds, we had Tennessee and Texas and Arizona State and Virginia Tech, and a lot of great teams come in here. Penn State, we had some big teams come in, but it wasn't the same. We're still playing at a baseball stadium, but the atmosphere's there. Wow, we had some terrific atmospheres there, really did. And again, that's a testament to the fans in this town.
Right.
That's true now as it was then. You got your core of so many fans. Then it gets bigger. It shrinks a little bit when some of the wins and losses and all that. But people want to be part of a winner. People want to be around something exciting, and I think that was exciting at that time for sure.
Well, I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
You have worked with 5 basketball coaches at the university. Kind of talk about their different personalities.
Different personalities. Well, there's a lot of different ways to win. That's the one things that I've found over the years, because looking from afar at other coaches, back, you grew up in Indiana and know, the Bobby Knight way. It's like, goodness, how can somebody do that and win? Or how can you do it this way and win and stuff? And there's so many different ways to win. And you start with when I got here and spent 18 years with him. Coach Crum was just a terrific person. He was, obviously you got to play for him. I mean, he was just such a good person, but on the court, man, he was intense. He wanted to win. He, the different plays there, so he could be able to tap into those at any point during the game. He saw the game so well, and he'd call plays and get us into the right play. He'd get us into a play early in a game and see that it worked very well, and then stick it back in his pocket so he could use it again later. So he was, but a terrific person. Again, I thought related very well to his players. And again, I think that's probably a common denominator with coaches. If you don't relate well to your players, you're going to struggle, man. You're going to struggle. But coach and coach was such a wooden disciple. He would always have something that would track back to Coach Wooden, and that was pretty impressive for me. To be able to be with him when he was with Coach Wooden. There were so many times where I got to be with him at an event or a dinner or whatever, and to sit there with him and Coach Wooden, and you're like, wow, I'm sitting here with him. And there was one time I'm sitting with, it's Coach Crum, Coach Wooden, and Bill Walton, and I'm thinking, gosh, here's three eras of because Coach Crum had recruited Bill Walton.
Bill Walton, yes.
And so there was just a lot of really good times. That obviously a championship run at 86 is about as good as it gets anytime you win a championship. But that was interesting. And then you get to Coach Pitino, and
different personalities.
Very different personalities. but again, a lot of people see the crazy man on the sidelines for him, the very intense. In fact, when we had hired him and had been with him most of the summer, helping him get things in place and all that, and we're become pretty good friends and all that, and we get to the first exhibition game, and I'm sitting over there next to the bench and saying, okay, this is pretty cool. Okay, and the ball tips off, and I think somebody threw the ball out of bounds or something, and he goes, he's like, I'm saying, who is this guy, or whatever. And it was a sign of things to come, because he's very intense in games, very intense in practices. Not that I didn't see it in practices, I just didn't know how it was going to be in games like that. And but again, somebody that cares deeply about his players. You could tell by the number of guys from Kentucky at the time that were coming back to here, and to visit him, and we've seen that already, with Kenny Payne here, and the guys coming back. So you reach people on a personal level when they're showing up, and they're not just coming for just because they have to or whatever.
Right.
But again, somebody that was very disciplined, and his time at practice was, key to him. You get to Coach Mack. Coach Mack was, came in at a very tough time, and I feel so bad for him, because again, what a terrific coach he is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you look at what he's accomplished, but he came in at a time with a cloud over our head. Just made it so difficult. I mean, you work hard to recruit and everything, and then you get down to the wire with a kid. They go somewhere else, and invariably the reason, hey, you got this NCAA thing. You got this NCAA thing coming, and it was tough. It was tough for that. But a great defensive mind. Worked really hard. Coming out of that, Mike McGeese at the back end. We had a good first 6 games. We had a lot of fun. Really, we had fun down in. I'll say we had fun down in the Bahamas. Guys came together, played really well there, and then by the time he got back in place there towards the end, he was just trying to win, trying to find a way, trying to do something good for these guys and prepare them. And and obviously now we've got Kenny, and Kenny's, again, just a terrific person. You just can't come any better than him as a person. He was at, I just remember how quiet and everything he was when he first got here from Mississippi. And just really he's really come a long way from that time to see where he was at that point to really when he was a terrific player by the time he finished up at U of L, and see what he's done with his career. It's been impressive.
Right. What do you consider the most memorable moment you've had in athletics? Understanding that we're talking about a span of more than 40 years, but if you could think about one thing that would be the most memorable thing, what would that be?
That's the thing, Derwin. There are so many things. I mean, and it's not just basketball. It's baseball World Series. It's
Absolutely.
Watching our women go. It's watching. I remember a soccer game where it's snowing, where we're out there watching. There's our swimming team doing the things that they've done. Great track performances at national champions and everything. But and obviously when you win a couple national championships in basketball, it's tough to beat that. It's not just the A game itself during that, but it's the journey to get there. It's all the different things. But I would have to, if you nail me down to one, and people have asked me about this, it would be the last game in Freedom Hall, because we had so many of our former players back for that, so many of our All-Americans, members of that 80 and 86 championship teams, and playing number one, record crowd, the place going crazy forever, and Kyle Keurig to just have a phenomenal, memorable, legendary performance like that to beat number one. I mean, that was just pretty special. But there's so many. I mean, there's games and games and games over the years that I treasure, but that one in particular probably would be the one.
Okay, I'm going to ask you something in contrast. What do you feel was the worst moment?
Worst moment, you'd have to say any of the NCAA stuff that's transpired. Maybe getting the call that something, hey, we're gonna, this has happened or that's happened, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's this gonna mean to us? So those have to be the lowest of lows, just because there's a lot of things that happen over the course of the years that are bad, but when something happens to U of L basketball, it affects our entire community. Affects our whole athletic department, our university, our entire community and so many fans and how much it affects so many people. And here we are, it's going nearly 5 years to the point of sitting around waiting for this to get done. That's got to be the worst.
Right. I heard someone say it was the equivalent of your mother telling you that you were in trouble and waiting till she gets home. So you're just waiting this whole time, waiting for her to come home for you to figure out what that punishment is going to be. So I can understand that.
Yeah. And honestly, a lot of times that punishment from your mommy and dad may not have been as bad as you might have thought it could have been. And, let's hope that time served matters in this, and there's, we'll see how things pan out. But whatever it is, again, is knowing, just as you said, knowing
right.
and experiencing that part so we can get past it, whatever that is. Whatever it is. We know something's coming. Let's just get past it, and move on.
Right. Let me ask you this, and I told you I was going to ask you this before we actually got started. For what you can tell me, what's the funniest story you can tell about your time at U of L?
I still am struggling, man, because I do have a lot of funny things that have happened. I'm somewhat of a practical joker. I've had a lot of good practical jokes over the years on people that I still think of them, and my side hurts, or if I just bring it up with somebody, those are great. There's the things that Coach Pitino was a master of sarcasm, and hearing him on the sideline sometime in a very serious situation, with a roaring thing, and just throwing the, because you can't laugh out loud, you can't do whatever. So I'm going to pass on that one, just
okay.
because I have so many things that have transpired that again, I like to think, a lot of people see me too out there, and I have to be in a very stoic and serious nature. I think the people that know me know that I like to have fun, and I think that's really a basis that's kept me going over the years. I try to have fun, and that's what
right.
that's what athletics should be. Should be fun. It's fun for fans, man. I
right.
mean,
well, with that being said, how has college athletics changed over the years, in your opinion?
It's people want to say it's such a big business and everything. Now, it's always been a business. I mean, goodness, there's always so many business things to it, and maybe it feels that way because when you're an administrator, you're always looking for ways to find financial remedies to things that are coming, things that that are there. But it's I guess things over the years, just goodness, I'm coming from a position of 40 years ago, when you're talking cell phones weren't even around at the time. So there's so much of an information explosion out there. I think social media has changed things so much out there. Just the instant good, but a lot of the instant bad out there from fans and people. Same thing with student athletes. They were courted back then. You were a terrific athlete yourself. You were courted. I think it's different now because there's you're out there so much in the media now. You might have a couple guys call you and your name might show up in a newspaper or something back then. Now if you don't have graphics on your social every time that you're narrowing your list or doing all those things, it's so different now from that regard. And then obviously all the things that are happening for student athletes to be able to capitalize on their name, image, and likeness, I think is about as big as it gets right now. And then another thing I should say is conferences changing so much. I mean, that's a thing that some of the natural rivalries that you'd had over a period, how those changed too.
I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but I do have a question for you. Let's say that I decide, along with other people, to make you Mark Emmert, make you the head of the NCAA. What's one thing that you would change about college athletics right now if you are the head of the NCAA?
It's a good question. I'd probably try to get more direct input from coaches, because I think coaches experience it on the recruiting trail. They experience it during the course of a year. They experience a lot of things. Not that they don't have a voice, but a lot of things I've seen since Mike Krzyzewski's been out. He's talked about a lot of things, and I agree with a lot of things that he said. A lot of them are just simple things of just getting getting those coaches more involved so they have a little bigger say, because I think so many times you have presidents, not that presidents are, they know everything what's going on, but maybe they don't know everything that's happening on the grassroots level, and things that can help. So that's probably would be as big a thing as any.
I know since I've been at the university, there's been the Metro Conference, Conference USA, the Big East, the AAC, now the ACC. Where do you think the University of Louisville is right now as far as that conference and conference realignment? Are you worried at all about our position? Are you worried about where the university is going as far as alignment with the super conferences that are coming out right now? What are your thoughts about conference realignment and the University of Louisville?
You know, I'm not going to say here and say here that I'm worried. Anytime there's changes out there, you have to keep a good eye on things. But I've felt like the ACC is in a terrific position, really. I mean, goodness, how excited are all of us to be in the ACC right now, and to be associated with those schools on not only on a competitive level but on the academic levels that we are. It's helped our university dramatically as well. But so I would say, we've taken our steps up now. Even going back to the Metro, I had a great time in the Metro.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those teams are in the ACC now and such, but and in other leagues. But I would say the ACC is a very strong league. I think we have great leadership right now. Jim is a terrific person, knows what to do. I think whatever happens, I think we'll be in a good position because we positioned ourselves very well. We're competitive across the board. We have a great fan base. We have great facilities. We've done the things that put us in position. They know our overall budget is among the top, I'll say top 30 in the country. So they know that we're a big player on the athletic scene.
When I was doing research to get ready for today, I talked to several different people. One person said, "No one better," about you. Someone said that you were the best in the business, bar none. No one, some other person said that you can't get anyone better than that. So obviously, everyone thinks so highly of you because of the work you've done. Throughout your career, is there anything that you would have done differently than you actually did?
Honestly, not really. It would help to know as much now, and to be as confident, I guess, now as I could have been early in my career. But I felt like I was very well prepared. I came in here and because I've always tried to treat people well. And in the end, I think if you do that, I think you're going to be all right.
Last question. You talked a little bit about working a little bit with the university, with the basketball department. Are you at liberty to say what you're going to be doing now? What's next for you?
Just really a lot of simple things around the men's basketball program. We've got a first-year staff here. We've got terrific people. Terrific people. I've known Danny for a long. He was a member of the Pan Am Games team in '87 that I worked with. I've known Nolan since he was a kid through his dad. So there's a terrific people there. I just want to see them get off to a great start and just be there and help any way I can, really.
Well, Kenny, I will tell you this. I don't know if you remember this or not, because I'm glad you brought that last little part up. I met you in 1987 in Indianapolis for the Pan Am Games. I used to come in with a guy named Eric Montross.
Oh, yeah.
Both of us from Lawrence North High School. And I remember meeting you. I remember you being so kind to me. And you didn't know me from anyone else, but you were always kind to me. So I wanted to bring that up because you've had an opportunity to meet a lot of people over the period of time. But one person that I think about when I think about the University of Louisville is not Kenny Payne. It's not any of the football coaches, not the baseball coaches. When I think about the University of Louisville, I think about you first. You've been a great friend for the time that I've been in Louisville. You were kind to me before I even committed to the University of Louisville. So I just want to thank you for not only your friendship, but thank you for what you've done for the university, for making the university what it is, and to be respected the way it is right now. So thank you for your time here, and we wish you Godspeed and the best of luck in your new role at the university.
Thank you, Derwin, and congratulations on the very worthwhile work that you do on a daily basis.
I appreciate it, Mr. Klein. And I would like to say this. We always like to close the show out by saying something simple like this. Doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter what I think. At the end of the day, it's all a matter of perspective. Mr. Klein, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Derwin.